I'm betting the pages are in it. He hated the idea of finding his mother's bracelet, and he hated that he hadn't. He had left it unprotected at the memorial so long ago that he couldn't imagine something so fragile lasting this long. Obviously, Ella said, and she dropped her elbows onto the counter to study it. The box had one of those odd dial locks that August had only ever seen on important doors and chests because of how pickable the cheaper versions were. However, those usually had only 3 dials. This one had 6. 6 numbers they had to find out from Natalie or puzzle out themselves. What has 6 numbers? She asked. Too many things, said August. Come on, let's go see if Natalie has talked to Blanche and if she'll open this box. Martin carried the box, and August hesitated when offering Ella his arm. Grabbing her wrist, closing her fingers fully over the warm, delicate skin would be too much. Her arm too forceful. Everything felt too intimate with her after last night, and his chest tightened. He didn't want to leave. Thankfully, she settled his uncertainty by threading her arm through his. At the guardhouse, Natalie and Blanche were sitting across from each other at a table, and Natalie had somehow gotten even paler. Her hand shook as she finished talking to Blanche. Blanche had her head in her hands. That you, August? She asked without looking. It is, said August. How's it going? In circles. Blanche slammed her hands onto the table and stood. Natalie insists that she didn't steal the items and didn't realize where they were coming from, but she refuses to share who she bought them from. Not out of loyalty, though, is it? Asked August, and Natalie flinched. Blanche shook her head and asked, Is there finding out you talking really worse than selling things that were stolen from the memorial? Her head shot up, and she opened her mouth. She lost her nerve before she could speak, however. Natalie, what's the code to open this box? Asked August. Natalie's gaze dropped to her feet. Blanche moved Natalie to the small room that served as Fresna's only cell, and August picked up the lockbox again. He saw Ella's teary stare stuck on the lockbox and knew exactly what she was thinking. Was her father's pocket watch in there? In pieces dotted throughout the town, scattered across the cemetery by nature, returned to Earth as she had intended? August didn't feel victorious. We'll take the box with us when we return to court tomorrow. Some of the best locksmiths live in the city. We'll send word once we find what's inside, said August, ignoring Ella startling in the corner of his sight. I'll continue to gather the items from folks who have purchased from Natalie and return them to the memorial, said Blanche. That way I can compile a list of everything missing and hopefully make a dent in what we have to return. August nodded. In case that doesn't work, I'll continue my research. Since we don't know why the objects make people forget who they love, I'm not entirely sure we fully understand what is happening. He took the lockbox and accounts back with him to the inn. Martin and Ella followed. I forgot you're leaving tomorrow, Ella said as they walked outside. Somehow it sounded like a question. The disappointment in her voice cut him to his very soul. He didn't know what to do with her sudden look of sadness. I am, he said. My father wants to celebrate since I haven't actually been home in a while, and if I'm not home, he'll send out a search party. He only let me take this assignment because it was Fresno, and I promised I wouldn't be gone long. You have to come see me tonight before you leave, she grabbed his hand. Oh, and bring the lockbox. Maybe we can figure out how to open it, and we won't need your fancy locksmiths, please. He couldn't deny her something as simple as that, when the very idea of it made her look so beautifully hopeful. It was a stark contrast to how she had first looked at him just a few days ago. Of course, he said. I'll come by after supper. She smiled and nodded, and August felt something catch in his chest. A few days earlier, he had been afraid she might not even want to speak with him. Now, anything seemed possible. Martin slowly turned to August. Don't say it, said August, tucking the accounting book under his arm. We leave tomorrow. What was I supposed to do? I was going to say, be careful, but I could feel your defensiveness, Martin laughed. I was there the last time she stopped talking to you. You're going back to the city and traveling and your responsibilities. I don't want to see you hurt again. Right. Marriage. It will be fine, said August, thinking of the weight of Ella as she had leaned against him the night before, the way the stars had glittered in her eyes, how she had smiled. She's worth the risk anyway.